Welcome back to the Paranormal Girl podcast. I am your host, Kristen. Today's episode has quite a few visual show and tells. I have included direct links to the still images my guest and I will be discussing if you would like to catch them on the back end. However, if you would like to see and enjoy them as we talk about them, hop on over to the Paranormal Girl YouTube channel. So, here's an interesting thought. You could be staring right at a Sasquatch in the wild and not see it. People say, but it's gotta be so easy to see if it's as big as witnesses say it is, or as hairy and imposing and strange looking as they say. But it just ain't always so. Why? How? Even despite their possibly advanced talent for camouflage, it is because you, the observer, might not be paying attention and don't know to look. And because it's something you are not expecting to see. Ever. Studies show that change blindness and inattentional blindness can cause us to miss even major changes or additions to our environment. That is something I was reminded of when I sat down with today's guest. A quick fun announcement, though, before I bring him on. The premiere episode of Beer, Booze, and Boogeymen is almost upon us. Catch this event live this Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you already follow the Paranormal Girl Pod on YouTube, you're all set, baby. Thank you so much, but you're all set. Just push the notify me button on the pending live that is up on the channel right now and be notified when it's go time. If you are not following, it is time. It is time. I cannot believe how much response we have been getting from folks about the topic of the evening, haunted workplaces. Now, I know I've got a story or two to share, but I am extremely excited to hear your guys' stories. I know you guys got some good spooky stories to share. If you want to participate and take part in this creepy celebration of the macabre and inexplicable, there are a few ways to do so. There is still time to submit your written account of what happened, and there is still time to call the voice line and leave it for us in a message to be played during the stream. But if you're going to be tuning in anyway, and you're feeling especially spicy, we will be accepting live calls. All that information and pertinent links can be found below, homies. Cannot wait to see you guys there. All right, let's get to it. My guest is a renowned painter whose work can be found in private and public collections around the world. His work is not easily defined and is based on many influences, but without a doubt, it is thought-provoking, mysterious, romantic, and at times quite unexpected. Whether it's a wooded pathway or a possible portal to another realm, the observer is easily drawn in to become a willing participant within the beautiful scenery. But be warned, you may become so enwrapped with the dense forest or the play on light that you miss another aspect of his work entirely. Someone or something hidden, staring right back. Please enjoy my conversation with artist Timothy Wayne Williams.
Okay, well, I grew up in Indiana. I'm in Indianapolis currently. I was a musician for a long, long time. I really thought I was going to be a rock star. I mean, I worked at it really hard, and I got real close. Then that all fell apart, and I just did not have the stomach to start all over again and, try to form another band or anything. So I was like, nah, I'm done with that. So my fallback was art. I just happened to mention to my mother-in-law one year, I was like, I've always wanted to try oil painting. And then I think that Christmas she bought me a set, an oil paint set, and I started messing around with it, and I really took to it fast. And I realized, okay, I was supposed to be doing this the whole time. It really became obvious. It's like I was an okay drummer, but I'm a much better painter. Um, not that I'm the greatest painter, but you know what I mean. It's
You're pretty dang
I'm
good.
better than I was a drummer. So, and it's weird though. I used to do a lot of fine art shows for a long time, and I would have people come up, and they're, people I went to school with, and they'd be, weren't you supposed to be a rock star? Like, shut up,
Yeah.
But finally that has kind of gone away. But so anyway, like, yeah, I did fine art shows for a long time, and I got really interested. Well, I've always been interested in the paranormal, and then one day I was listening to a podcast, and it had to do with Bigfoot, and I was doing a landscape, and I thought, wouldn't this be cool to just add a little Bigfoot in the back, and just for my own amusement. So I did. It was no big deal, and I ended up doing an art show one time, and it was a slow art show, and I was trying to get people to stay in my booth. And so I ended up telling people, hey, there's a Bigfoot in this painting, see if you can find it. Well, I realized people were really into that, really, really liked it. So when I got home, I was like, I wonder if there's any Bigfoot groups on Facebook. And there's a million of them. I had no idea. So I immediately joined a bunch of groups. I mean, literally probably hundreds. And I started posting some of the paintings, just saying, hey, what do you guys think of this? And I got like 1,000 likes, like on like my first or second painting. And I realized, oh, okay, maybe I'm onto something here. This is good exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I had worked in a printing company for 33 years, and I started selling so well my art that I was able to quit that job and do art full time. So
Wow.
extremely excited about that because I
Yeah.
hated that job. Hated.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
No,
there way too long.
yeah. Sometimes we do stay too long at the circus, so to speak. Been there. You know, one thing, you are an incredible painter, and you're definitely you were meant
Too
to do this. But your drumming was pretty stellar, man. I was peeping a video you posted to Facebook
No, really?
with your was it a hair metal band, like a long hair
Oh,
metal band?
yeah.
Yeah, you rocked it, man. Oh my gosh. That's a skill I would love to have if I were to be a musician. I would love to be a drummer. Um, so how long ago you said that this just kind of fell into place? You realized it was something, you were meant to be doing. It sounds like it happened pretty fast. How long ago did this take place? When
Oh,
did you start
yeah.
painting?
3 years ago is
Wow.
when I started the paranormal stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, it moved quick, real quick.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
it just it looks like you've been doing this your whole life. So that's
Well, painting, yes.
okay.
Yeah, well, no, not my whole life. I mean, I was well into adulthood before I started, so um, I mean, maybe 15 years, 20 years, somewhere around there.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, give us an idea, like what before I load up these images, and we are going to get into the niche stuff, but give us an idea of what your style is and your inspiration behind it.
Sure, sure. Well, technically, I think I'm right in between impressionism and realism. It's kind of right in the middle. It's neither one. And I want to paint. Uh, I want to paint a painting that you want to stare at, and it inspires your imagination. more than just finding, a cryptid in it or anything. I want paintings that you can't just walk by, can't put behind your couch and just, ignore it. I want, if people come to your house, I want them to go, oh, wow, okay, I want to sit and stare at that. There's something going on here. And those are my favorite kind of paintings and always were. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I want something that sets a mood, captures a moment. I want you to imagine yourself there, imagine what's going on. And yeah, that's basically.
Yeah, you know what? The image that came to mind, actually, one that you sent me that I can share here. Maybe we start out with this one, and then we're gonna jump into the hidden Bigfoot stuff. But
Cool.
I was just blown away by this guy. Uh,
I'm so glad you brought that one up first because this is one I love talking about. This one I wanted to kind of represent kind of a porthole, possibly. It's kind of like if you were walking through the woods and it was winter, and all of a sudden, as you're walking, you notice that there's a bridge and that it's becoming like spring or summer. And it's something that's like leading you. Maybe it's, I believe this is named Siren's Call. And so it may not be necessarily a good thing, it could be something bad on the other side. That's, this is bait. So, not a lot of people got this painting. They really didn't. A lot of people just thought, oh, the snow is clearing up. It's like,
mhm,
no, 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 no. It's almost Narnia-esque.
mhm.
You're leaving winter and then you're entering immediately into, spring.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so like it's got this realistic like sense to it. Like I feel like I could be standing right here. Like this looks totally normal." And then it hit me. I was like, "Oh no, that's I mean, it's like snowy in the forefront here, and then this beautiful like springish, like kind of I don't know, leading off into fairyland over there. Like I was,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It does make you think. Makes you think. But I
that
think
is,
this is a good example of the kind of stuff that you do in your style. So I just wanted to start off with that guy.
yeah, great,
Uh,
great.
but let's take a look here. So we're going to get into some of the calendar stuff. So you've created the 2024 cryptid calendar. There's hidden Bigfoot in this guy. How did the idea? I know you did one last year as well as 2023.
Mhm,
How
mhm.
did this idea for the calendar come about?
Well, I did one, like I self-published one, I don't know, 4 years ago, I think, and it it did well. And I had discussed with, do you know Doug Hychek?
Hmm.
Yeah, Doug's a great guy, and I had showed Doug some of my stuff, and he really liked it. And him and his son had started a publishing company,
Hmm.
and they hadn't really considered doing a calendar, but they kind of, we were actually talking about doing a coffee table book in the beginning, and eventually I was like, let's do a calendar right now, and so yeah, it's gone well. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Right on. All right. So let's get into some of these images. I'm not sure how many of these were found in the new. We know this one is here.
Yes, that's the cover.
It took me a minute, unless you're going to break it to me that it's pareidolia, but it took me a minute to find the hidden figure in this.
Uh-huh. Where'd you see it?
Well, I can't zoom in on this picture, but it's up in the right-hand corner.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to zoom in, folks, to see the little face peeking out at you. But let's talk about some of these. I mean, these are just beautiful. This one.
Yeah, I just finished this one the other day. Actually, I took a better picture. I think I sent you the wrong picture of that. That's not a great picture. It's not cropped or anything.
It's okay.
So, yeah,
Little
the colors
background.
are there's kind of a shine on it. But yeah, this was inspired by one of my customers who just was talking all the time about camping and wanted you know, uh, a picture of a campsite. And this is like only the second tent I think I've ever painted. I don't normally put tents in there. I didn't know. I don't know why. I love campfires. I paint tons of campfires,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't put people in my paintings for the most part, just because I want you to kind of place yourself there. I want you to imagine yourself in that seat, and maybe. And I tell people all the time when they ask, it's like, well, where are people in this? And I'm always like, they're off getting firewood. So that's where the people are.
Yeah. The people are evident in this picture. There's a seat, there's a tent, there's a
Right.
campfire. Somebody did that. Um, all right, let's do an easy one here. This one kind of pops. You can see the image right
Yeah.
away.
I caught so much grief over this one from a few people who were like, why would lanterns be in the woods like that over a creek? That makes no sense. And I'm like, okay, if it makes no sense, my work is done here. You know, it's like I don't know why the lanterns are there. I love lanterns, and it really set a cool mood, and and I think it makes you think, why are those there? What
Mhm.
does it mean? And if you look right, almost in the middle of the painting is where Bigfoot is.
Mhm. Yep. Tree peeking.
Yeah,
All right, we'll do one more, and then I want to talk about my favorites here. So this one you can see.
yeah, yeah. You've picked out some good ones. Okay. This is another one of my favorites because this is another representation of a porthole, and it does have a Bigfoot in it. And the thing that makes you know that it's a portal is the shadows. If you see how the shadows are falling, if you look through that hole in the middle, the shadows are going completely different way than the rest of the scene. And
Okay.
I wanted you to see you're entering another dimension, another reality. And so, yeah, this one I love. This is another very subtle thing that most people don't realize right away. It takes forever for people to kind of get this one, but yeah, I was real happy with how that one came out.
I love the use of you use pathways and stairs, kind of, I don't know, like just pathways through your paintings that
Yeah,
are just really do draw you in. That draws the
yeah.
eye, and you might just miss, the face staring at you from somewhere in there. I was wondering, do you have any pieces that like that are just so difficult for people, like they just look at it as a painting, they don't see anything in it, like they don't see the figure in it, or they can't find it, just anything that's so difficult for people to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, when I first started doing this, I didn't tell people for a long time that there were Bigfoot in the painting. I did it. I probably sold a dozen paintings, and the people have no idea that there's a Bigfoot in there. I just did it for my own amusement. I just thought it was kind of funny, and so yeah. But yeah, I do have some really difficult ones, and people get really mad at me when I put them online and they can't find them. People are just so I try to do an array. I have like some, easy to find and some kind of difficult. And then I have some that are basically impossible.
All right, let's do yeah, here's the last one I want to do of these, and it is my absolute favorite, and I'll tell you why. I'm a huge huge advocate for the UFO.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is another one I was really happy with how it turned out, mostly because of the light coming down from the UFO in the mountains. You can see behind it, you
Hmm.
know, you can see through that light, and that turned out so well. I was really, really happy. And this one has a Bigfoot in it too. Did you notice that?
I did. It took me a
You
second to
did?
find it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I like to think, this is just how I read it. You can read it any way you want. I kind of like to think that UFO is searching for that Bigfoot.
Well, this sorry, just trying to find the next picture I was going to show. So something I absolutely love about specifically these hidden Bigfoot pieces And I know like your styles, it's more realistic, but there's a cool metaphor that happens as I was going through these. It occurred to me of when people have, or in like the real world, real life, and having to do with Bigfoot sightings. Like you can be zipping down a road, just forest on all sides, and there could be something standing in there, and you would just never see. You would just overlook it very quickly. You
Right.
wouldn't even think to look. And it's the same with these pictures, these paintings, because they're so beautiful. There's so much going on in there, and if you don't know to look, you're not gonna. It's you're just gonna pass it over.
Yeah, I've had researchers tell me that they love my art because it reminds them when they're out in the woods that it could be anywhere, that a
Hmm.
Bigfoot could be anywhere. And some people have even said, "Oh, it's helped me spot Bigfoot because I'm looking for." I don't know if that's true, but I'll take it. All right. But yeah, no, I I think it in a lot of ways it's kind of real life. If you were in the woods and maybe there is one somewhere there, just if you take a few minutes to look a little harder,
Hmm.
um, yeah,
All right, and well, and another thing, it brought up because there were a couple paintings that I just could not find it, and I it was a battle with pareidolia. And I think I've
so
heard you talk about that before, where I was like, I was so sure that, okay, it's the face in the clouds, but you're a lot more literal than
right.
that. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say, and I got tongue tied there. Yeah, I've had people go, "Oh yeah, I see you've put this face like in the clouds or in the mountain. There's it creates." No, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do an abstract kind of weird, you know, thing. I want it to be more like, you know, realistic. Like if you were out in the woods and you come
Mhm.
across one of these things.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time. I People are like, "Ah, I saw you put the face of the alien in there too," and I'm like, "No, I don't do that." You know, do not do that. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a real battle with that pareidolia. What before we move on, what are your actual thoughts on this cryptid? Like, what do you think about the phenomenon?
Do you ever feel like life is a never ending series of lessons while you try to find purpose, meaning, and answers? I am Vanessa Fontana, the host of Figuring Shit Out, a podcast where we undertake self help, coming of age, and healing. As I live my 20s in New York City figuring shit out myself, I've realized that if you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, you don't have a life. You have an act. On Figuring Shit Out, every Sunday, you get to normalize the journey of not knowing and be guided into living your life with more intention and ease.
Bigfoot specifically,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I believe it exists. Um, I I have to say I'm kind of in the it's a paranormal type thing. Um, I tell people it's like, well, why couldn't there be some sort of creature that could be like a chameleon? Could blend in so well with with its surroundings that you would never see it. And I don't know. I've heard too many weird paranormal type accounts, you know, that I just think there's a paranormal element to it. I don't know what it is, but there definitely is something there.
Yeah, I just spoke with a really fascinating guest, Carter Bouchard, and he is of that kind of.
I listened to that. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the ape only, very physical argument. Like it explains a lot of it. It does. It sure does. But then you hear these stories and these kind of just unexplainable, inexplicable experiences that I don't know. I mean, you believe it when somebody like Carter tells you. It's like I believe you. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Um, have you had an encounter or an experience?
Not with Bigfoot. No. I've Yeah, no, I mean, I live in Indiana. There have been sightings in southern Indiana, but
Hmm.
rarely. So, yeah, no. Now I'm in the suburbs of Indianapolis. So, yeah, not a lot happening around here.
No, nothing in the city.
Yeah.
Well, what about paranormal? Because we're going to lead into some of your more paranormal paintings, but I was curious if you had any experiences with the paranormal, just in general.
Yes, I have a few. I have what I think is kind of a demonic encounter, and I have a very strange, I guarantee you haven't heard a story like it, kind of angelic encounter. So I'll tell you the demonic one first. So I told you I was a musician for a long time. And when I was in high school, me and the guys in the band put a bunch of money together and we decided to rent out like this music hall. And it was kind of hard to explain what it was, but it was just this gigantic, like, barn kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a couple garage doors and then it had a door to go in and out. Well, there was one night we were setting up. It was the night before the show, and we were all setting up our gear, and we were just getting ready to leave. We were done. We were all kind of by the soundboard talking and planning things, and all of a sudden we hear this cackling laugh, the creepiest cackling laugh. This person was laughing like they had heard the funniest joke ever. And we look up, and there's this guy sitting on one of our PA speakers, just sitting there, just laughing his head off. And we're looking around, and we're all like, how did he get in here? Because he would have had to walk by us to get in. We had closed the garage doors. There was only one way in and out at that point. And we couldn't figure out why he was laughing. And it was so creepy. And have you ever seen the movie The Shining?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the guy, Scatman Crothers, who's the guy who tells the boy about The Shining?
Yep.
That's what he looked like. He looked like that guy. So we all are like, well, who's going to go talk to this guy and kind of chase him out? And of course, everybody pushes me forward, to do it. So I go up there and I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing? We were all getting ready to leave. And he says, I got something for you. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. And he pulls out, and I don't even know how he grabbed these. Okay. He reaches behind him and he pulls out a stack of Polaroids. His fingers could barely fit around it. A stack of Polaroids of like hardcore pornography. Okay. He was like, showing me. I'm like, oh, okay. This guy must be a pimp or something. And I'm like, no. Not down with that. Good. And he said, well, what else do you want? What else? I can get you anything. I'm like, okay. Maybe he's a drug dealer. Okay. Too. And I'm like, nah, not down with that. And then he gets real serious and he looks at me, real hard. And he's like, I can get you anything. What do you want? And the way he was saying it, it wasn't like drugs. I mean, it was different. It was like, I can get you what you want, and it creeped me out like you would not believe. And so finally, one of the guitar players came up too, and he, of course, he's going through the Polaroids like nothing, and I'm like, come on, dude, we need to leave this guy alone. Mm-hmm. And so we walked back to the soundboard, and that's not very far, 30 feet maybe. Mm-hmm. And we all kind of huddle, and the rest of the guys are all like, what is this guy doing here? What does he want? And by the time, I was getting ready to tell him about the guy, but I thought, well, I want to see if he's still there. I look up and he is gone, just absolutely gone. There's no way he could have got out without walking by us. Just no way. I mean, this was 30 feet away. And yeah, by the time, I talked to the guys and looked back up, he was gone. So we were all just stunned, and we looked around too. We were like, is he hiding behind something, Mm-hmm. And there really wasn't anything he could hide behind, and we looked. The guy was just gone.
And there was just, so the only entrances to this place was the one door, and then
Yeah.
there were some garage doors
And the
that were
garage doors we had closed earlier.
wow. Huh. What,
So
you called this possibly demonic. What
you know,
what
the
makes you
reason, what makes me think that,
Mhm.
yeah, I felt like it was almost like my crossroads like moment. Like this guy could have helped my career if I wanted him to, And I was really, really hungry to become, a professional musician. We were, all of us guys in that band were, broken homes, had nothing. And all we had is that band. And we worked so hard on it, and it felt like if I were to have agreed to let this guy help me, it might have been, to detriment of my soul in some way. That's just how it felt. It just felt so creepy, you know. And it's like years later, it even got even more into me when I think about it.
Mhm.
At the time, I was just so shocked. But yeah, it really felt like I was being offered something and I had a choice. And if I would have went with him, it could have ended up really bad.
You mentioned something there, your crossroads moment. I'm just curious, is that in reference to something
Yeah,
like
that's there's a famous story of Robert Johnson, who was this guitar player, blues guitar player from way, way back in the day.
Mhm.
And there was always a legend that he had met the devil at the crossroads. And the devil
Oh.
offered him like incredible talent, on the guitar if he gave him his soul.
Oh, okay.
And so that it felt like my crossroads moment. Like I could have given my soul to this guy if he, I mean, I could have, like, if I wanted to. But yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, and it obviously still affects you
Oh yeah.
today. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whew. All right. I don't know if I'm ready for another one. You said you had another one?
Yeah. Well, it's an angelic one.
Okay,
So
good.
this will cleanse the palate here. So this one is a strange story. I've told this one before, and it has to do with the toilet of all things. So when my wife and I first had kids, the kids were really small. We didn't have a lot of money, and we were actually. I'm not sure if my wife was working at the time. We really were struggling, and we had this toilet that wasn't working. We had to get a new one. Well, we didn't have the money to hire a plumber or anything, and I thought, I can do this. How hard could it be? So I take the toilet off and I'm trying to put on this new one and it's just not going on right. There's something missing. It's just, I couldn't figure it out, and there's like not a lot to a toilet when you change it, but for some reason it was not going on right. And I was really struggling with this thing. And I felt like I was letting the family down, and it took like a couple days and it was like, I didn't know what to do. It was like we were without a toilet and everyone was getting sick of going in a bucket. And, you know, and I felt like I just was letting the family down and I was stressing. I even had a friend of mine come by whose dad used to be a plumber and he worked with his dad all the time. And so, he knew a ton about plumbing. He came in and looked at it and was like, I don't get this either. This should be going on. And so he left. He's like, dude, I don't know what you're gonna do. And he had to go. So I for like the fifth time, I decided I would just go to a hardware store and just look around to see if there was something, some sort of, part that would make this fit right. And I was totally frustrated, just dejected. And I was in I think it was a Menards. I don't know if you have those there, but it's a hardware store here. And I was just sitting there in the plumbing department. I had even talked to like the plumbing experts there, and they were all worthless. And I'm just standing in this aisle going, what am I going to do? We did not have the money for a plumber to come in and deal with this. And finally, there was a guy about, I don't know, 15 feet away, and he just kind of looks at me and he's like, hey, what you doing? What are you working on? And he looked, I don't want to say homeless, but he looked a little rough, and he looked like someone who was lonely and just wanted to talk. And that's what I thought, and I was so frustrated. I'm normally fairly nice to people, but I was really short with this guy because I just did not want to get into it. And he didn't look like anyone who could help me, but he persisted. He kept saying, well, what are you working on? What's going on? And finally I was like, I've got this toilet, and, this beeswax seal isn't fitting right. And, and I went on and on. And he walks like 10 feet away, grabs this part, comes up to me, and I swear to God, I'd not seen that part before. And he hands it to me, and he tells me exactly how to put it in. And I'm like, oh my God, I think this will work, and I'm like super thrilled, And as he's walking away, my wife comes up to me and she's like, who is that? I'm like, I believe this guy just solved our problem. And she said, well, did you thank him? And I'm like, I think so. But I just saw him go to the next aisle, and I was like, I'm going to go find him and make sure I do thank him really good. And I went to the next aisle where I saw him go, and he's not there. And I looked around more, and the guy was not there. I didn't look, I'm not going to say I went through the whole Menards, it's a big store, but I don't know how I could have missed him if he was there, So it was like he solved my problem and walked away. It just disappeared. Wow. So yeah, and I took that part home, put it in. It was perfect. It was nothing. It was amazing. It was the seal that had this extra part on it that I didn't even know they made. And so it was amazing that this guy just came out of nowhere, solved my problem, and first insisted on helping me. Even when I was kind of short with him, kind of a jerk, and he insisted, on telling me how to do that, and then he just walked away, it was amazing.
No thanks necessary. He gave you exactly what you needed right at that moment in time.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't need anything but that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I love the balance of that, like the good and evil, and just these really powerful experiences that have stuck with you to this day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And have made the difference. Do you think your personal experiences have lended themselves to your art? Because you don't just hide Bigfoot. You also
Correct.
do other cryptids, and you've got a sea monster kind of series, I believe, and then you've got these. I didn't see these anywhere else, but I want to pull up. Let's do this one here.
Oh yeah.
This one was really interesting. I thought at first, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was looking at this as a Bigfoot painting, and I thought, there looks like a figure off to the right, maybe that figure off to the left. Didn't even see the face right in the middle of the picture. Not just a face, but a skull on fire. And I would qualify this as a ghostly image.
Yeah, this one actually I did for a video series. There's a investigator named Eric Mintel from Pennsylvania, and him and I are really good friends. And he does these really great videos. And I started talking to him about using my paintings as kind of like a what do they call it? Kind of a where they cut between scenes, kind of a buffer between scenes. He would show one of my paintings, and this was specifically kind of done on his request. So he did a investigation of the New Hope Railroad, where I think it's in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't normally put a skull hanging out of the thing, but Eric was like, "Yeah, make the scary skull in the." And I'm like, "Okay." But you are right. I did put in the background, I did put kind of like shadow figures,
Okay.
That's what they,
Okay. That's what those are. Okay. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that one. Let me pop this guy up because it's simpler. Like it's more, obvious what that is. But I just love it. The ghostly. What's the inspiration behind something like this?
I love castles. I love anything Renaissance, old like that. And I had come across a picture of something like that. And I just thought it would be amazing, to be going up that and have a ghost, pass by you. And I was experimenting with techniques of painting something that looks transparent. And this one's I've done some other ghosts that are a little more subtle. This one's kind of, really stands out. Can't
Mm-hmm.
miss it. But the thing with painting that is I do a lot with my fingers, and I kind of smeared the paint on there, and then I went back and put in, solid white for the details, and you just
Mm-hmm.
put in some details, just vague little representations of, body parts, or like the head, or like a robe or something. And that was an early experiment with doing that.
Wow. Yeah, I love this one. I love the detail work on the figure. Do you sell you sell your work like this would be for sale, right?
Yeah, this one is sold
Oh, okay.
to a lady. My biggest collector, believe it or not, is a lady who lives just outside of London, England, and she owns about 30, maybe more, of my paintings.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she's like my she's like my who is it, Medici's, who, who buys all my art. Like some of the great Renaissance painters had like families that collected
Yeah.
their art and kept them going. And that's what I always tell her, she's my Medici. But um yeah, so yeah, I that's my it's my main gig, selling this stuff. So yeah,
Amazing.
everything's for sale.
All right. Well, let's do one more, and I think this is
Sure.
kind of in reference to what you were saying with the subtlety of the figure. I wish I could zoom in on this so that my viewing audience could see. What we have here is a castle. It's kind of a misty, foggy scene here, and the first thing that pops out is this dragon figure over on the right, and you're like, "Oh, that's what the painting's about." It took me forever to see the figure at the bottom, the ghostly figure at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah,
Just very well done. That's yeah.
yeah.
That was another favorite of mine. I really love that.
Love castles. Yeah, that one
Yeah.
hasn't sold yet, surprisingly.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna get all the deets if anybody has really loved this show and interested in buying some. There's something for everybody here, and paranormal
Absolutely.
or Bigfooters. But we are nearing the end here, and I want to save some time for our final segment. We're going to go into final questions, final thoughts, and then we'll
Mhm.
close it out and let you get on with your day. So, the final questions that I have for you today, before we started recording, I told you it was a little special, a little different. I had some patrons submit some questions for you.
Nice.
And two of my patrons are artists themselves. So, I just really enjoy these questions. Um, the first question comes from David Linnebury, a longtime listener, amazing artist. His question was, do you have any plans to hide Bigfoot in more urban settings? So, peeking out of alleyways in a busy downtown.
Probably not. It's just kind of not my thing. I just don't like urban scenes all that much.
Mm.
So, yeah, no, only like buildings I like to do are like castles and stuff like that. So I don't see me doing that, actually.
Okay, okay. And his second question was, and we already know, you do some other cryptids. I think you have some mermaid stuff as well.
Sure.
What other cryptids do you have plans to paint in the future? What's in the works?
Well, I think I'm gonna do some more Mothman type things.
Ooh.
And sea monster type things. I love doing that. I've been really into painting seascapes here lately, and so I always start with just trying to make a nice painting first, and then if I'm happy with it, then I'll put a cryptid in it. And not all the time I do. A lot of times I don't, but it just depends.
Nice.
The um, the seascapes I do gives me an out to put a sea monster in it. It gives me an excuse.
All right. Before I forget, has anybody ever told you you sound like I can't remember the actor's name. Better Call Saul.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, that's what it keeps reminding me of. All right.
Uh,
Final question for you. This one comes from Dwayne. He wanted to know if he were to get a hold of you, are you able to interpret his encounter with Sasquatch onto canvas? Do you do that?
yes, I have done that a few times. I've had to turn down a couple because the person wanted to show like too much. Like they were like, it was a family of Bigfoot, and then there was me, and then this guy came around, and it was like, I don't think I want to do all that. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, I have done that before. Yes, I have kind of interpreted people's encounters and worked with them. I show people as I go. Okay, is this still looking like what you thought it would look like? And kind of work with people that way.
Oh wow! I'll have to commission you to and talk to you about my experience with a shadowy figure. Since now I know you do
Oh,
shadow figures. It's not a shadow figure; it's just shadowy. But yeah, I'll hit you up.
yeah, cool.
Um, all right, here at the end, any cool events or appearances that you've got coming up? Any conventions you're heading to?
Um, the only one, I don't have anything nailed down just yet. I am going to do a bunch of shows this year. I am just kind of holding off. I'm going to have surgery actually on my carpal tunnel surgery on my arms. So I'm kind of waiting to see how long that will take, before I start booking shows because I'm a little worried that it could slow me down quite a bit. I might not have enough art to take to shows.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm kind of playing that by ear. I have one, I think, in Pennsylvania. I definitely think I'm going to do. And I'm blanking out. I know it's Bill Rigby's show. I forget what it's called, but
When is it? What time of year?
it's in March.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very cool. Okay, so hopefully, people, if they're
Yeah.
going to that one, they can keep an eye out for you. Why don't you let my audience know where they can find you online, find your work, how they can contact you for commission pieces or just to buy a piece, and where should they go to get the 2024 Hidden Bigfoot calendar?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I used to have a website. I actually got rid of it because it just was a pain. And for a while there, I was selling so fast that I couldn't even get stuff up on the website. So it just didn't make sense to have a website. It was way too much money. So anyway, best way to get a hold of me now is on Facebook. If you go to T.W. Williams Fine Arts on Facebook. That's the best way to find me. And just message me there. And I'm on Instagram at Timothy _Wayne _Williams _. Super easy. And I do commissions all the time. So anyone can hit me up. My email is twwilliamsfinearts@yahoo.com. So any of those ways.
Okay. All right. And where did you want to send folks to buy the calendar?
Oh, the calendar. Yeah. That's if you Google Hangar1 Publishing, it's there. Um, if you message me through Facebook, I can send you the link.
All right, sounds good. And to close us out, sir, would you like to leave us with any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or a piece of advice?
Yes. Do what you love while you can. When I made the choice to leave my job at 33 years and do this. I'm so much happier. It's kind of a pay cut because I'm not consistently making money. It's not as consistent. I am making money, but it's not as consistent. And it's rough, but mentally, I'm so much happier. And I recommend, if you're on the fence or you're thinking that, well, someday I might do this, make that someday now. Don't waste any more time,
I think I needed to hear that today. Thank you. All right. Painter, artist extraordinaire, Timothy Wayne Williams, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
My sincere thanks to Tim for appearing on the show today. Listeners, find and follow him on Facebook at the link below. Reach out, check out his work. It is brilliant, just outstanding stuff. Heck, ask him about translating your own encounter to canvas. How cool would that be? And then share it with me, because I would just love to see that. I have also included the direct link to buy the 2024 Find the Hidden Bigfoot Fine Art Calendar by Hangar1 Publishing. Check it out. You guys, what a great gift idea for the cryptid lover in your life. You know you have one. You know you do. That one friend that sometimes you're like, I wonder if they're... Yes, they are. They're totally into them. And this is for them. If you enjoyed this episode on a listening platform, leave a 5-star rating. If you enjoyed watching and following along with this one on YouTube, holla at your girl with a thumbs up and a subscribe. And click that little bell icon so you never miss a new upload. That will be a wrap on today's program. If I do not see you guys at Saturday's Beer, Booze, and Boogeymen premiere, I will be so sad, and I will miss you. But if I don't, I shall see you all back here on Tuesday. So until we meet again, stay safe, keep the nightlight on, and sleep with one eye open.